Hey, love tubers! I am back. Currently reading from Pratikas of the Orisha Tarot by Andrew McGregor Obatalimi. Ooh, we are almost there, honey. Kudos to you for hanging on this far. The trumps is what we've already covered. The court cards. Also, we have covered, well, I have covered, and hopefully you join me, if you are indeed a beginning practitioner of the Orisha or 7 African powers, or you are beginning your tarot card journey following them. Wands. Cups. All right. We're doing swords. Thank you for being with me on this journey. I do have journals, clip notes, and my brand new book, The 7 African Powers, Sacred Practices for Beginning Practitioners, available on Amazon. Okay, if you need additional detail in regards to candle magic and wanting to learn more about meditation, chakra alignment, gemstones, affiliated, altar setup, things of that nature. We're going to start with the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords is the power of pure idea. It is the beginning of something new. If the person is wise, it will come to great fruition. If the person is deceitful with themselves and others, it will likely not go well. The sword has 2 sides, and usually people find themselves living a bit of wisdom and deceit in life. The knife plays many roles within the Orisha traditions. Owned by Ogun, it is the tool used for sacrifice. It can be used for healing and surgery or to harm someone, such as stabbing in the back. Ultimately, its use tells us more about the person holding it than the knife itself. The mind shares this nature with the knife, as it can be used to invent great things or to plot terrible crimes. Unlike the knife, however, it cannot claim that others wielded it to bad ends. Symbolism. A ceremonial knife indicating status and function. Green and black for Ogun, who governs metal. I normally like a green candle for Ogun when I am invocating. Divining. Something new is about to be set in motion, and it is coming with feelings of enthusiasm and desire. Perhaps it is a good idea or not. The character of the person getting the reading will help determine its nature. However, as a reader, you must be looking for a rationalization, and justifications that the person might be selling themselves and trying to sell you to. A good salesman. A new plan or opportunity with lots of potential. Cunning and insightful people. Do you have a 5-year and 10-year plan? If not, get on it. Solutions. Do not blame others for your mistakes. Do not overreach. Protect yourself in business. Do not be two-sided. 2 of Swords. I'm cutting stuff up today. The 2 of Swords is a card associated with balance, justice, and peace. In some decks, it shows a blindfolded figure holding two swords, connecting its meaning to the idea of Lady Justice. It can be a card of making peace with things that are not ideal, but also not subject to change at this time. In the Orisha cosmology are two ideas that show up to modify a reading: Iri or blessings, or Asogbo or negativity. These energies may come from an Orisha ancestor, gossip money, malevolent sorcery, or elsewhere. While Iri may come from many sources, it is understood to be a singular thing. Osogbo, on the other hand, may come from many sources such as sickness, death, loss, and so on. The elders speak of war between the one Iri and the many Osogbos. Everyone wants to live the blessing and are grateful to see them arrive, but unfortunately they are harder to hold on to. Both our own incorrect actions and the many negative forces can cause a blessing to be lost. To work against this, it is important to exercise forethought, tend our inner foundations, and make offerings to keep the negative forces at bay. Symbolism: a candle for blessings. A series of negative things that could happen. From the bottom: death, accidents, violence, injury, betrayal, court, and bills. The court in white background highlighting the yin-yang nature of this balance. We often say that in order for there to be good, there must also be bad. Divining: we must expect obstacles in life and work to prepare for them. This includes knowing we cannot see everything coming. The worst mistake is to ascribe positive or negative agency to the world when this card shows up. The world is itself immortal and without agenda. It is up to us to make life what we want and need it to be. If times are good, plan ahead for the obstacles. If life is hard, things will turn around if you face it head on. Everything is in motion. When times are great, it is easiest to be complacent and lose it all. Solutions: cast divinations often and make offerings to keep on track. Do not neglect your spirit or ancestors. Do not complain, save for a rainy day, because it will rain, honey. Three of Swords. In this card, we find some of the deepest suffering we may encounter in life. It is personal, deep, and lasting. Often in a reading, this card points back to something in the past that has left a permanent wound. Ososhi is known to be an expert hunter, able to find and catch or kill animals that others could not. One day, Olofin, an aspect of the creator, asked him to catch a specific bird for him, which he did. When he brought it home, his mother found it and prepared it for dinner. Not knowing why the bird was there, when he came back, he was outraged that the bird was gone and could not figure out who had stolen it. He set out to catch another and brought it to Olofin right away. When asked what he wanted in return, Ososhi said he wanted his arrow to strike dead the person who had taken the first bird. Olofin granted this wish. So Ososhi fired the arrow high in the air and straight into his mother's heart, killing her. When he found out the consequences of his search for justice, he pleaded with Olofin to bring her back. Symbolism: an outlined forest obscuring Ososhi's view, a beaded bag containing magic and charms, the dead body of Yimiyar pierced through the chest. Divining: Olofin agreed to bring back Yimiyar. But we humans aren't so lucky. Many of our mistakes become regrets we carry forever. Worse still, some problems and heartbreak are so hard to resolve that we may even stop living life. Regardless of the scale at which this card speaks, acceptance and letting go are the only solutions. No resolutions or repairs are possible. An old wound preventing happiness or success. A rash decision with lasting consequences. The letter or the law will be carried out. Solutions: make sure you write before acting. You are right before acting. Be just and meditate. Four of Swords. In the Four of Swords, we run into compromises we must live with. It is a card where we can find ways to step away from conflict and bring about a truce. In the Orisha transitions, Ogun carried this quality within his nature. At one point in his story, he was rage-filled, destructive force, quarreling with everyone and taking what he wanted. Things reached the breaking point where he raped his mother, Yimiyar. Afterward, he vowed to work tirelessly for humanity and progress in an attempt to make amends. He set out and cut the first rows through the trees to begin a process of invention and the progress that continues to this day. As the Orisha associated with iron, he works at his forge to make the trains, cars, and planes that get us where we need to go. The progress he sets in motion fuels industry and invention, allowing for so many of the wonderful things in modern life. Yet, as we know, progress in the industrialization brings its own cost. The world continues to be polluted and deforested. Climate change is an inevitable force we are struggling to reconcile with. Time will tell if we have the will and capacity to address it. Symbolism. The fire of Ogin's unchecked rage being put to work. Lumber and a tree stump cut to fuel this progress. A factory putting out smoke for producing the things we want and need. A machete with which Ogun cuts roads through the forest. Train tracks carrying everything forward. Ogun is a wonderful deity to work with. Okay, we all got our flaws. Some of them seem possibly unforgiving, or some of us hide things in the closet, or some of us have things publicly that we can never live down. But Ogun, when it comes to getting some things done, him and that machete. Okay? All right. Divining. It is important to look at what we need and the costs that come from making things happen. Our use of technology provides connection at an unprecedented level, but the precious metals required for our smartphones comes with a large environmental cost. Rash decisions. Acting from anger or deciding things hurriedly will lead to long-standing consequences. Using reason and a cool head will allow for better outcomes. A time of progress and growth, peace after conflicts, atonement for mistakes made, contracts and agreements. Solutions. Think before you act, drink water when you get heated, plant a seed to replace what you needed to cut down. I'm going to hold it up one more time. All right. Five of Swords. All right, Oya. You know, it's Oya, but that beautiful rainbow attire she's wearing. Oya, Oya, Oya. Theft is a big theme for this card. Someone has absconded with something important, often right under your nose. When we live in a community or with families, it is hard to see these kind of things coming. It gets even more complicated if we are hoarding something we could share but don't want to. Oya and Shango were lovers. Oya was the only woman strong and fierce enough to match Shango's fire, warrior, nature, and passion. Together they were unstoppable when they rode into battle. Though most people say that Shango is the lightning, my elder suggests it really belongs to Oya. Because she is the better warrior and Shango likes to take the easy road. She goes first and Shango shows up as the thunder. Shango was already a talented musician who kept his secret fire in a gourd hidden away from everyone. One day, Oya found his stash and decided to try it out. As she played with the powder, she found herself able to breathe fire. Realizing she had gained access to all his powers, she decided to keep them for herself. A home symbolism. A home shared with lovers or friend or family. Oya in her multicolored dress striding trumpetly away. Shango's bag of fire. Now that's a no-nonsense sister right there. Woo! Divining. Sharing powers with others is complicated business. It is not easy to trust that things will go well. When this fear shows up, people covet what you have and will try and take it from you. It is important to decide whether you or they are being greedy. It might be both of you. Trade secrets are at risk of being stolen. Your lover is thinking about leaving you. Your family wants to take what should be yours. Solution. Do not hide valuables in the house. Put them in a bank or somewhere secure. Share with those you love if you want to keep them around. Pray to Oya to help with change. Six of Swords. In many Caribbean cultures, spiritual workers are called spiritual scientists. Out of respect for their profound knowledge, often when people start learning about the Orisha traditions, things seem clear enough at first, as many rituals have an appearance of simplicity. Yet when you dig into the practice, you realize they are incredibly layered, nuanced, and sophisticated. In this card, we see the practice of casting obi or divining with 4 pieces of coconut. The system provides at its core 2 kinds of yes, 2 kinds of no, and a maybe cast again option. These 5 answers are then interpreted to answer yes and no questions. Simple, right? In the hands of an experienced diviner, this tool's complexity goes much further. Each answer has a different quality depending upon which Orisha is speaking. Some answers beget other questions. The distance between the pieces conveys other ideas about timing, level of challenge indicated. In the right hands, this simple tool can provide invaluable insight. Symbolism. A container with water for cooling the road, 4 pieces of coconut for casting, 2 pieces up, 2 pieces down showing the sign of a balanced yes, blueprints and plans referencing the thinking of the diviner, a plate on which the coconut and water is usually set up. Oh, the sun went away. I was enjoying the sunshine. Was y'all enjoying the sunshine? I love the sunshine. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. All right, divining. Simplicity is the secret power behind the system. It comes from knowing what question to ask based on what information is required. No more, no less. It requires reflection and clarity when approached and provides definite answers in response. Don't complicate things. Be clear about what you want. Ask and spirit will answer. Accept yes or no as the answer. Don't rationalize. What does tradition say about your question? If it feels complicated, rethink your approach. Solutions. Learn how to do things right. Don't ask what you don't want to know. Apply what you know. Trust in spirit. Trust the process. 7 of Swords. These sticky notes everywhere. Someone has much and others will seek to take it when this card shows up. Yes, they are already starting, Lord. How you feel about this will depend greatly on which side of the equation you are. Shango owed a lot of money to a creditor, so he divined on how to get free of his debt. He was told to gather a few things and dig a hole on the creditor's land. In some tellings, he is told to leave anything he finds. In this version, the creditor accuses him of stealing his savings, which he had buried, yet when the police come, they find it is undistributed and give the money to Shango as payment for being defamed. In other versions, he is told to keep what he finds and tell anyone who asks that he made the money himself. Here we run into different ideas of what is just and fair. In both versions, we find some kind of trickery about how Shango ends up clearing his debts. The story is of a criticism of ownership and indebtedness. The creditor is seen as having overreached or gone too far, so spirit advises some kind of redress. In life, we run into these kinds of questions all the time. Is it fair to stream content without paying? What about if a big company makes a mistake in our favor? What about taking some stationery home from the office? We must all find our moral lines and live with the consequences of them. Symbolism. A hole for the offering, symbolizing the guidance of spirit to what we need. The money found in the hole, the creditor's property as the faceless victim in many acts of modern theft. You know what? This is funny because I was just reading on Cardi B, and I think her name is Tasha K this morning. I wasn't really following the case. It just popped up on my screen, but I think that would be the present type of situation. Credit, some money owed. Yeah. Wait, that's a hot mess right there. Let's keep it going. 8 of Swords. Love always gonna be talking about something you can't, or people definitely. All right, this card is often one of gossip. Interesting. Gossip, jealousy, rumors, and others' interference in our lives. There was a time when Olodumare, the creator, called the Orisha together for a contest. He asked each spirit to bring something that would show him what the best thing in the world was. Many brought treasures, food, art, or sang about the wonders of the world. I remember this one. This is lovely. When it was Shango's turn, he presented the creator with a cow's tongue on a plate. Surprised, Olodumare asked Shango to explain himself. The tongue is the most powerful thing because with it we can tell those who we hold in our heart that we love them. We can express our pride for our children and our gratitude to our friends and parents. Moved by this, Olodumare announced Shango as the winner. The next day, Olodumare proposed the same contest in reverse. Whoever brought the worst thing in the world could win that day's prize. Others brought weapons, alcohol, poison, and rotten things. Again, Shango brought a tongue. When asked to explain, he answered, "It's with our tongue that we lie, slander, and cheat those around us. That is how we bring hate into the world and curse our enemies." Moved by his wisdom, the creator declared Shango the winners again. Symbolism. The cow's tongue, for good or bad. Shango as symbol of the wisdom we all have access to. The axe pattern in the background as the force of justice we must contend with. The wavy lines for gentleness and the sharp ones for harshness. What and how a person speaks are tremendously important to their success or failure. If they are bitter, jealous, or complain, they will not find happiness. If they are honest, loving, and optimistic, they will find success much more easily. Do not worry about what others say. If someone gossips with you, they are also gossiping about you. Some do not like this person and conspire against them. Hard work is the only way forward. Solutions. Do not lie. Wear a charm against jealousy and gossip. Get a charm called the eye and tongue to protect your house. I'm going to have to do that one by itself because a whole lot of people need to hear that preaching right there. Nine of Swords. Alright, we're doing all right. This card might be said to embody fear and anxiety. It is a card where we worry deeply. Ooh, this is one of my favorite stories. This is a card where we worry deeply about what is going on and suffer because of it. It is a card that can lead to depression if not handled properly. One day, Olafin, the avatar of the creator that comes to Earth, walked into a town that started talking to people who lived there. He warned them the following day, knives, swords, and weapons would fall like rain. Many people became very afraid, so the next day everyone stayed inside except a few who went out to gather the strange rain. A few days later, Olafin returned and told people that a rain of gold was coming. This time people rejoiced. When the gold fell from the sky, the villagers came out to gather it, and the ones who had collected the weapons came armed and took everything. Often when we receive messages or news, we add interpretations to them that cause us problems. If we can keep our feelings in check, we might find opportunity during times that others find intimidating. Even so, we must proceed with caution. It is better to wait for the swords to land than to try and catch them as they fall. Symbolism. A person at the door deciding what to do. Swords fall from the sky bring fear or power. Other houses are shuttered, choosing safety first. Just like this, I wish that raindrops would fall. All right. Divining. Not everything that looks good is something we can benefit from, and not everything that is threatening is bad so long as we handle it right. When this card shows up, we must exercise caution in our relationships lest they leave us with nothing. News that provokes anxiety and fear, blessings that come from loss, arguments and conflicts with neighbors and workers, a big harvest as reward for brave action. Solutions. Listen to good advice. Do not act from a place of fear. Be ready for those who would take by force. Ten of Swords. This card is possibly the worst in the deck. It's a card of ruin, betrayal, and things which we cannot recover from. The only good thing with this card is that after losing everything, you have nothing to lose. Whether you have the power to regain anything remains to be seen. The Orisha traditions in the diaspora exist because of the Atlantic slave trade. The people who introduced the Orisha to the Caribbean and Americans were brought by force. Whatever lives they had prior were gone, and many of the people did not survive the trip to even have the hope of starting again. The legacy of these events continues to play out in the news on a regular basis. The cost of colonialism to people of color and indigenous peoples and beyond counting, robbing them of their history, their lives in the present, and the future they might have had. Symbolism: a slave ship carrying humans as cargo. A skeleton pierced with swords for all that was lost and the cost to the future. A sea of blood that colonialism split to build the Western world we live in. Thank you, ancestors. Divining. This card says that a deep betrayal is happening that might cost that person everything. Through the common imagery of this card shows a figure that has been stabbed in the back, but usually know their enemy. Sometimes this is part of themselves that cannot help but ruin things. Other times it's a person who has bad behavior and it is excursed until it is too late. The ruin experience is never a random occurrence. That energy is found in the tower. Tragedy. Loss of everything through betrayal. Obstacles brought about to a person's life by the legacy of colonialism. Violence and death as accidents or fighting. Solutions. Do not get into a physical fight. Watch your back. Do not give people a second chance. Do not let your vices ruin your life. Yay. Yay, yay, you have made it through the swords, honey. Congratulations. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already been following and you've been listening, please hit the subscribe and like button if this benefited you at all. Do remember that I do have journals, clip notes, and books for sale at Amazon.com to check out. And then until next time, peace, love, and blessings.